Hi guys, and I am back with another interesting story. This story is about a young man by the name of Kyron Horman. This story was recommended to me by one of my subscribers. Now, I've never heard of Kyron, and maybe you have, but the situation takes place in Portland, Oregon, so if you're from that area, perhaps you've heard of the story. Kyron Horman disappeared June 4th, 2010, at the age of 7. Kyron Horman was born September 9th, 2002 in Portland, Oregon. His parents were Desiree Young and Kane Horman. Now, Desiree and Kane met each other and they decided, of course, to get married. While they were married, pretty soon after they've gotten married, actually, Desiree got pregnant. And Desiree came into the marriage already. She had one son from a previous relationship, and she liked the way that Kane and her son got along, her older son. But she was about 8 months into her pregnancy, and a friend told her that she saw her husband, Kane, and another woman kissing and being romantically involved in an open setting. Well, Desiree did what a smart woman would do, and she said, no, I'm not putting up for this. And she initially moved into the other bedroom, and there was no reconciliation, and she immediately filed for divorce. Now, while she was divorced, the couple decided that they would share custody once the baby was born, and they decided to name him Kyron. I think that Kane wanted to initially name him Kermit, but Desiree is like, no, you're not naming my son Kermit. They had joint custody of the child. They shared the custody, and that worked good for them for a time. In 2004, Desiree decided to take a trip with her girlfriends, and she did, and on the trip, she got a kidney infection. Now, according to reports, this was not unusual. She would often get kidney infections, so she was in the hospital, and they told her she needed to stay in the hospital and do some extensive medical diagnosing and research to see what is going on. She contacted Kane and said, I'm not going to be back when I said I actually need to get this procedure done to take care of these kidney infections that I'm having. And can you keep Kyron a little bit longer? Well, Kane agreed, and that was fine. So she proceeded to get what she needed done. And 2 months later, she calls up Kane to say, hey, I'm stopping by. I'm all well. I want to pick up Kyron. And he said, no, not so fast. You can't pick up Kyron. While Desiree was away, Kane took custody, complete custody of Kyron. And nevertheless, you know, a mother's going to be upset about that, but they seemed like they worked it out, and they were able to, Kane would have more custody of Kyron, and then Desiree would come and get him. Desiree, in order to save money after this surgery, she moved back in with her parents. And so she lived about 300 or so miles away from Kane's house where Kyron was. Now, in the midst of this, Kane in 2007 met a woman by the name of Terry Moulton. They quickly had a whirlwind romance. They fell in love, and they got married. That's what they wanted it to look like. But in actuality, Kane was actually cheating on her in 2001. They met in 2007, married in 2007. He had been messing around with her since 2001, all during the marriage and the divorce with Desiree, his first wife. And then in 2008, Kane and Terry, his new wife, had a child. Now, that was fine. Everything was okay. The problem seemed to be with Terry. Terry would write or secretly write one of her friends and complain all the time about the marriage to Kane. That she suspected Kane was still cheating, And his son, her stepson, Kyron, she couldn't stand him. She wanted him out of the way. She even had went so far as to talk to a landscaper to see about getting rid of Cain and maybe even Kyron too. This is alleged. But she did not want Kyron around. She felt that Kyron was the cause of the problems in the relationship, and because of Kyron causing the problems in the relationship, it caused Cain to cheat, and she wanted all that to be over with. So on the afternoon, about 3:30 p.m. on June 4th, 2010, stepmom Terry and daddy Cain, stepmom to Kyron and dad to Kyron, went to the school bus to pick up Kyron off the bus and walk home with him. They get to the school bus and they wait for Kyron to get off the school bus, and he does not. They talk to the driver and they say, well, where is Kyron? He's supposed to be getting off the school bus. He always takes the school bus home. The driver proceeds to call the school. The school says Kyron never came to school that day. Now that's where things get a little murky. So now Terry and Cain, stepmom and dad, go out to the school to confront the secretary. She does pull up a backpack and a jacket of his, but she looks in the attendance record and there's no attendance for Kyron. So the police talk to Terry, because Terry is the stepmom who took Kyron to school, and she says that she did take him to school, and that in fact he had a science fair that he went to, and he was very proud of his science project, and she even snapped some pictures. And she says she left the school at about 8:40 a.m. She said she then went to a grocery store, Fred Meyer's, I think the name of it is, 2 different locations, and she was looking for some food item, and she went to the 2 locations and she was done with that at about 10:10. Now there's a gap in her time from 10:10 until approximately, I wrote it down, until approximately 11:39. She says that her daughter was crying in the car, and that she decided, because she's got a baby daughter as well, she decides to take the daughter, in the car and ride her around in the backwoods in Portland to soothe her to sleep. She then gets home and she goes to the gym about 12:40, and about 1:30 she's back home again from the gym, and then that's when they at 3:30 go and look for Kyron. Once the parents, the stepmom and the dad, talk to the school secretary, they immediately call the emergency number that is on Kyron's school information, and a woman picks up, and it is Desiree, Kyron's mother, who's about 300 miles away, and they want to know, is Kyron there? Did you come pick him up from school? Where is he? We can't find him. Needless to say, Desiree was livid. It was like, okay, I left him in your care, Cain, and you lost our child? You can't find our child? She jumped in her car and immediately was driving on her way down to the school. In the meantime, the school secretary called 911, and the police in Oregon did not hesitate. They went on an immediate search for Kyron, looking at least in a 2 to 6 mile radius all around school and around his neighborhood, and there was no sign. In fact, this search lasted 10 days, and it was the largest search for a missing person in the history of the state of Oregon. And they had volunteers coming, Oregon volunteers, California volunteers, Washington state volunteers were coming from all over trying to find Kyron. And in fact, the police suspected that Terry, the stepmother, knew more than what she was saying, simply because she was the last person with him. In fact, they checked the bings on her cell phone for the areas that she said she was driving with the daughter, and she was there. And so much so, she was in a deep secluded area where she had parked the car, and there's the old lake back there. And she had pinged out there that she was out there on that lake somewhere. They dug up that lake. They went through it. They did not find Kyron's body anywhere, because with a child, it is, if you haven't found that child, I believe it's 48 hours, you can consider that child to be dead. But they didn't have any real evidence to put in it. Initially, the family didn't want to speak on it. They wanted everyone just to focus on Kyron. They did get in front of the police at some point, you know, with a press conference. And Desiree says that she was just devastated during that time. And Terry, the stepmom, Kane's new wife, was trying to console her or put her arm around her. And Desiree just felt awful, like, get off of me. You did something to my son. Desiree was completely inconsolable for obvious reasons. Initially, Kane didn't want to really believe that Terry did anything. In fact, he wasn't even expressing a lot of what was going on or anything really especially emotional about the situation. I think he was trying to hold it all in. But Desiree had since then remarried a gentleman, a former police officer, a detective, and so that really was the person she needed on her side for the support and also to really look into where was her son. They ended up talking to Kane and saying, hey, something is not right about this. There's something that's completely wrong. Now, the police wanted to keep their efforts to look into Terry silent. They did find the computer, which I mentioned, where she had written on the hard drive were letters she was writing to someone about her problems within the marriage, about Kane cheating the same way he did Desiree, about Kyron, Desiree and Kane's son, and that she couldn't stand him. But they weren't acting fast enough for Desiree. Desiree ended up filing a civil suit, and she wanted to do that because they hadn't charged Terry or anyone else with the case. She has the civil suit, and with the civil suit, it would allow her to have Terry asked directly if she knew what happened to Kyron. Because, incidentally, Terry had taken a lie detector test and she failed it, and had to take another one and she failed that one. But everybody else in the family passed. Now, the Oregon police were furious with the family at this time, because if they were going to go through this with this civil case, that meant that everything that they had held secret from Terry as they're trying to investigate her secretly would be exposed in this civil case. And that would give Terry time to cover her tracks or to tell, help out anybody else that had did something to Kyron. Now, they did talk to the lady who, that Terry sent the emails to about her disdain for Kyron and Kane at this point. But she claims that she was not with Terry at the time something happened, that the crime happened. She didn't know anything about it. However, the police found that she bought a burner cell phone so she could be in touch with something and throw away that cell phone. Now, she claims that she had problems with her phone, and in addition, she was talking to an attorney, and she didn't want the Oregon police to know what was going on because her phone would be tapped. And I find that a little bit sketchy myself, because why would they tap your phone if you were just a friend to the lady and you didn't know anything about it? And why would you need a lawyer? It's all a little bit sketchy to me. Now, another interesting fact was that in about late June 2010, the same month that Kyron went missing, a man that said, and I won't say his name, said he was a landscaper for the Horman family. And he went to police and said that Terry came to him in the month of January 2010, 5 months prior to Kyron's disappearance, and said to him, "I will pay you a lot of money for you to kill my husband." That's what he did. He even did a deposition on it. Now, Terry's lawyer ended asking her, "Is this true?" And she said no. And Cain, the husband, said, "I didn't even know we had a landscaper." So I don't know if that was true or false, but they didn't really proceed any further with that. But like I said, it just seems sketch to me that had she talked to someone, I just don't think someone would randomly pop up and say, "I'm going to tell you that someone said was going to pay me to kill somebody else." Because especially if you're doing a deposition, you can cause a lot more troubles for yourself than that person, than Terry would have got. So I'm not sure if that was true or if that's not. But the police still didn't proceed with trying to arrest Terry. Now, in August of 2010, the grand jury still was working. They had a subpoena for Desiree, Kyron's mom. They had a subpoena for Cain. They subpoenaed the principal, all collecting evidence, but the grand jury did not feel compelled to set charges for Terry. They are leaving the situation open until they can really connect the dots on what happened. Now, in 2012, Terry, the stepmother's friend, was questioned in front of the grand jury, and she refused to answer 142 questions regarding Terry, Kyron, Cain, anyone. In fact, she even refused to identify a picture of Kyron. This is your best friend's stepchild, because they had major custody at that point. And you're not even going to identify the picture. I believe it was completely out of fear that she was going to get caught up in this, and she knew more than what she was telling. So far, Kyron is still considered a missing person. The case is supposed to be open, but this happened 10 years ago, and every second that ticks off is getting colder and colder. Interesting enough, stepmom Terry was on Dr. Phil. And she said that from the very beginning, her attorneys said don't speak. Her husband, her then husband, second husband, said don't speak about the case to anyone. And now she felt like she was compelled to come to Dr. Phil and speak. Why wouldn't she go to the Oregon police to speak? Or to the attorney general in that area to speak? She's saying that there was a white man, there was a white pickup truck, excuse me, he could have been a white man, I don't know. But there was a guy in a pickup truck, a white pickup truck, sitting in a 7-Eleven, and he was in the store pacing back and forth really crazy, and that the 7-Eleven was close to the school, and she believed that the man came in and kidnapped Kyron. You know how when you lie, they always say keep the lie close to the truth. And the truth of the matter is, Terry had a sports car, more of a sports car. But that day when she took Kyron to the science fair, she drove the white pickup truck. Not her own usual car that she drives. So at this point, we don't know what happened to Kyron. But things are looking a little bit suspicious. So I want to see if I can see what happened to them. I've got to do some numerology. I've got to put my detective cap on. Maybe I can even get in touch with Kyron. That I can't promise, because spirits don't just come like a paging service, paging Kyron, come to the phone. If he comes, he comes. If he doesn't, he doesn't. But I'm going to sure look into it for you. I'll be right back. Hi guys, and I'm back. And like I said, I want to take a look at Terry. But as I'm sitting here shuffling my cards, I'm using my Voyagers, and two cards jumped at me, and I'm asking my guides if I can speak to Kyron. Can I speak to Kyron? The first thing comes up is a Sage of Crystals. This would be a young kid, an earth sign, and his birthday is September 9th. So he pops up right away. He was super smart, just in love with life, and science fair, that would have been his thing. He loved science and outer space and discovering things. He loved to be outside more than anything else in the world. He had the ability to be an absolute genius, as a matter of fact. He was just, to people around him, his mom, maybe his dad, I'm not very sure, even his stepdad, he was a very precious gem to them. Very precious gem. But I see that the sun set on him really early. And the next card popped up for me, I don't know if I showed you this one. We've got this one. This is the Voyager deck, by the way. And then we have the Empress in reverse. Bad mommy. Bad mommy. An Empress is a very feminine woman, a motherly woman, someone who thrives on nurturing and caretaking and loving and doing for friends and family, people that are close to them. This is in reverse. Why? Terry was not a natural mother. In fact, before Terry even had a child, before she got married or messed around with Kane and then married him, she was a female bodybuilder. You know, doing the weights and the whole thing, and they have pictures out there that you can see for yourself with the spray tan and everything. When you're working on your body for a competitive level, what are you thinking about? Others or you? And it just became a thing for her of, I'm thinking of me, I'm thinking of me. And so we've got Kyron and the bad mother. I want to see what comes up behind that. Kyron, where are you, Kyron? What happened, Kyron? Angel, sky, spirits, let me see. Angel, sky, spirit, let me see. Okay, and the Ace of World. The Ace of World is, yeah, like the Wand card. World is really more like Pentacles, actually. But, this is, the Sage of Crystals is like, the Sage or the, yeah, the Sage of Swords. So he would be the Sage of Swords, very intelligent, very intellectual, bad mother, and then we have Ace of Pentacles. Bad mother, what did you do? And here says this is supposed to be about big change, something new, planting seeds, and something new and young and fresh starting over. And instead, she did something. She is the one that pulled that seed up. I want to know, did she take his life? But I'm going to stop right there. That's just the start of those. But Terry is a Pisces. No surprise there. With a Cancer rising. Listen, she's a stellium of Pisces, including her north node is Pisces. South node is Virgo. She's got a Cancer rising. She's a Jupiter's in Scorpio. Big Scorpio issue. Big life and death around her. Big all about endings. And big Pluto, where you come into someone's life and you tear that life down. That's her, okay? Watery. Like, she thinks with her emotions. If Cain, and she suspected he was, cheating on her, that Scorpio, Jupiter, all that big old Scorpio, Jupiter, wants payback, okay? Wanted payback, wanted revenge. That's what bad Scorpios do, is seek revenge. You're not just going to hurt them and get away with it. They get that stinger on you. That Pisces says that she got lost in the sauce, okay? She had some type of addiction. I don't know if it was pills, alcohol, something, but she had some type of addiction. This taking care of somebody else's kid, even her own, was too much, but definitely taking care of somebody else's kid was too much. And now you're going to cheat on me. I got your child, and plus the one we have, and you're treating me like this, and I'm supposed to be okay, and I'm finding out that you messing around again. But you know what? The way you get into it is the way you got out. You cheated on him and Desiree, his wife. You did this, lady. Let me look at his number. 7, 8. Her numbers, I mean. So that's a 3, 6, 10, 11. Oh, wow. It was 11 years for her. Her personal year in 2010, her birthday was in March 14th. The child went missing June 4th. So she was right in that 11 years about life and death, tragic things happening all around you, whether you do it to yourself, someone does it around you, or you do what happened. This lady had a moon in Gemini, so she wasn't naturally warm. She was easily bored with things, whatever. She probably was bored with Cain long before she found out that he had an affair, and it probably wasn't his first affair, because she had to have gotten pregnant too and probably cheated as well. So when I look at her natal, when I look at her numbers, it points every finger to her. She's smart though, and that's where it gets them. She's smart. And she had to have somebody, being as watery as she was, she would have had to have somebody to dump it all out to pour that water, pour her tears out. And that was that friend, the friend that didn't want to answer 142 questions given by the grand jury, who didn't even want to look at the picture of Kyron to identify him. Your best friend? Lady, you did it. You did it. Kyron is showing me that this is him, the smart guy, the little kid, the little genius, the love the science, the love outside, love the outer space, love to come and go, run around, talk. Yeah, that's him. He says next to you, him is bad mom. That's you. I've got Ace of Pentacles in reverse. That is an uprooting of anything that's good and wholesome and stability. And that's what you did. And then I've got the Man of Crystals, or the Knight of Swords. This is the King of Swords in reverse. King of Swords reverse, it speaks to your character. When we look at cards that have to do with court cards, they don't have to be male. They don't have to be female. It's the energy of the card. This is a nasty person. This is a person that wanted to dominate, and that was her. She was going to come in there and dominate and call the shots in that household. And she probably did do that with Cain, and then he would go behind her back and cheat on her. And she had enough. You weren't going to dominate. Your mouth was too mean and harsh. You were mean and harsh. You were completely unloving, and you did something to this child. And I'm not going to go as far as saying what you did, but who did something with the child, and we probably pretty much know what that is her. Is her. I want to just take a quick look and see, will she ever come to justice? Because when someone is murdered, you can get away with it forever. It can stay a cold case forever, but ultimately somebody cracks that case. And with murder, unless you die, you don't get away from that. There's no statute of limitations. There's no statute of limitations to this. Did Terry allegedly kill her stepson? Did Terry allegedly have her stepson killed? I dropped some cards. I'm not reading all those that fell out. Did Terry allegedly have her son killed? Does Terry know about Kyron being dead? Does Terry know about Kyron being dead? Show me, Spirit. Yeah, she does. But she is going to defend herself to the end. So I see her as Nine of Wands, like she did something. If you take a look at the picture, you can see he has to be out in some grassy area. They have not found him. He's out there though. He isn't in water like they thought. He's in some grassy area. She is the only one that knows where it is, and she's going to hold that truth. You can beat her up, beat her down. She's not going to spill the beans. Pisces are very good like that. They're like the Hierophant. They're Isis. Isis knows, and Isis does not spill. We've got the Eight of Wands in reverse. This is things happening quickly. News coming to the forefront. In this case, for her, things are happening very slowly. Not her per se, but coming to the resolution, coming to the truth. It's happening slow. Every aspect is slow, to the point where I think she thinks she might get away with it, but she's still going to stand defending herself. And then we have the Knight of Cups And the Knight of Cups is usually this way. It's someone who is about love and romance and has offering you great things, but nothing is coming her way. And ultimately, she's got the Two of Swords, where the decision that she's trying to make, it'll be made for her. And these crows, I always look at crows as people talking, people gossiping. It will come out. It will come out that she did it. She's not going to tell it, though. I'll tell you that right now. This is just alleged. Trust me. This is all for entertainment, by the way. This is just me and my mystery channel. All for entertainment, guys. Anyways, that's what I got. You guys, don't forget to subscribe, thumbs up, and leave me a comment. Have a great day.